Hey there, how are you? Um, I seldom do, or rather, I seldom talk about macroeconomics, but it doesn't mean that I don't think about them all the time. I have been spending some time thinking about macroeconomic issues, basically the really big picture and its implications, especially on because of what's been happening. And this is based on my experience in the last 20, 30 years, starting from the Asian financial crisis down to the tech bubble and then the great financial crisis and what we've just experienced in the COVID crisis. And I want to just share my thoughts on a few topics. And perhaps I'll preface this by talking a little bit about inflation and deflation. So, normally you would think that deflation is good, right? Because things get cheaper. What you can buy with your dollar gets better. Whereas in times of inflation, things get more expensive and your purchasing power diminishes. But put yourself in the shoes of the government or someone who is indebted. For someone who owes a lot of money, if there is deflation, it's actually very bad news because the level of debt actually gets bigger in a sense. So it's going to be a major problem. And why do I talk about this? Because I think the world is getting more and more indebted from the Asian financial crisis onwards to the GFC, especially after the GFC. There's been increasing debt in the system. And when there's increasing debt in the system becomes very fragile. And because it's very fragile, we lead to more economic disruptions. When there's economic disruption, like for example, what just happened with COVID, we have more bailouts, and those bailouts will increase. And how do we build them up? We issue more debt. So this whole vicious loop just goes on and on and on, and carries on. And as it builds up, deflation is going to be a huge problem. That's why I think governments around the world are trying their very best to create as much inflation as they can and inflate their way out of it. Now, what's the problem with this? Okay, when there's more and more debt, a lot of the debt actually does not go towards doing anything productive. What it does instead is that it pushes up the prices of assets. So we may not see a lot of consumer price inflation, but we're going to see a lot, and we've seen it in after the GFC. We've seen a lot of asset price inflation. The price of houses getting more expensive, the price of the stock market going up, because all that money is flowing into assets and it's flowing into people who already have a lot of money. What does this what results from it? There's the increasing wealth divide. Basically the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The problem with this is the middle class now gets decimated. We used to have a good range of rich people, middle class, and poor. That's always been the case. But when there's an increasing wealth divide, the middle class will shrink. Okay, it will essentially get decimated, and we've seen this starting to happen in many countries. Now, the middle class is actually very important for society to stay stable. And you experience in this COVID crisis as well, and I'm seeing it very real, which is that a lot of small and medium businesses or enterprises are getting decimated this time as well. So they are not able to access. Governments are trying to support them, but it's going to be. I can see it with my eyes. It's very very hard for them to survive this crisis. What happens? The big gets bigger. Technology was already enabling this. The crisis has just accelerated it. And the the upshot of this is that as the big gets bigger, it's basically a winner takes all game. So think of someone like Google or Facebook or Amazon. These guys have a lot of cash on their balance sheets. They will come out stronger. A lot of their competitors will get destroyed. A lot of upstarts, a lot of startups who are trying to challenge them will not be able to, we may not be able to survive beyond this crisis. And if they don't, then essentially the incumbents who are already big will just get bigger. And we end up with a winner takes all game. I'm not sure that's totally healthy for the economy. So, from investment point of view, the question that you need to ask is who will be this winner that takes all? Um, in what sectors? How will they do it? These are questions that I'm still grappling with. I'm leaning towards the players with a lot of network effects, where you just have to have a invest in the beginning, and then you can just keep on leveraging on that and have high operating leverage. So these are just some of my initial thoughts on what I see happening. I've been spending many days thinking about this issue. I hope you've enjoyed this short video discussion, and I would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? And yeah, what do you think about this? And God bless you.